Year 11 Information Evening. This is a very unique experience where most of our presentations that we would have done live are now going to be recorded or presented live to you in a different version. This is through our Microsoft Teams experience that we have used all the way through our lockdown. So it's been an unprecedented year. And I know that we've given the opportunity for our Year 11s already to come into school prior to the summer holiday, to gain some additional experience within the school, to get used to the environment prior to any of the other students joining us. It's a unique year ahead. There is nothing quite like coming back to school where there are unique restrictions that have been presented for us. However, the Year 11s have come back with quite a positive attitude, and we're quite impressed with the way that their attitudes have evolved and developed over time. So our evening is essential to pass on key information to you on what the year will look like. You'll have several presenters this evening. You'll have Mr. Downey, who is Assistant Head Teacher for Outcomes, who will be overseeing the Year 11s right the way through their journey. We will have Ms. Cooper, who is in charge of Maths, Associate Assistant Head Teacher. And we have Ms. Harris, who is the Science Assistant Head Teacher, who will present to you regarding any information for their core subjects. Mr. Downey will present on a variety of areas, including English. So we've already seen a real improvement in the attitudes and engagement of the Year 11. And I know from experience that where Year 11s come into the school in September, they will grow and mature exponentially over the time that they spend with us. They've already missed a great deal of time in school, but I know with your support and your positivity, I am sure that your child, with the support from the teachers and the school themselves, will secure some good outcomes at the end of the year. I'm going to pass over to Mr. Downey, who's going to give more details.
Thank you, Mr. Preble. Hello, everybody. So as Mr. Preble explained, first of all, what I want to do is just to go through some of the key information that you would need to know for the year ahead for your children at Holmesdale. First of all, we need to look at how you can help as part of what I call our triangle, really, of success. We've got the school's input, obviously, which we'll be doing on a day-to-day basis. We've got the student input, and what sometimes gets missed is the impact that the parental input can have on children's progress and attainment. This year, we've got parents' evenings that are going to have a slightly different approach due to the nature of the COVID and the coronavirus pandemic. Obviously, we won't be able to have a parents' evening in the same format. However, the importance of these have increased. We've got a number of gaps that are going to be identified over the coming weeks by your children's teachers due to the time that they had out of education. We are working hard to try and plug those gaps, and it's really important that you're aware of what those gaps are and what areas that your children may need to work on over the coming year. Attendance is the biggest factor in progress, regardless of any of these other interventions that can be put in place. If children aren't in school and they're not in front of their teachers getting the quality first teaching that we provide, then progress is going to be hindered. So it's really, really important that we aim for that 100% attendance throughout this academic year. Out of school learning, the school day has been extended. Tonight actually is the first of our OSL sessions. 95 students attended, which is absolutely fantastic. It's exactly what we required and gives us that opportunity to make up for some of that time that we lost over the last few months. One thing that's really, really important is understanding the subjects that your child is studying. There are a range of subjects that are vocational or GCSE. They also have different grading systems, and it's really important that you speak to your students about those and that you are aware of the different grading systems and the differences between the subjects. If there are any queries regarding any of those subjects, then please do not hesitate to contact me and I'll be able to go through those in a little bit more detail with you individually. And then finally, revision. It's never too early to start. One thing that our Year 11s that left this year, one thing that they really noticed was the impact of revision not starting at a certain time when we suggested, which was this time of year, looking at their PPE results, so their mock exam results, and some of them really didn't perform to where they should be. Now, we know that with the centre assessed grades that are awarded for Year 11s this year, that there is a potential at some point in the future that these may return. So we are putting the high importance on our mock exams, which will be taking in place later in the year. It's really important revision starts now and that we can really focus on that memory, recall and retention that we're encouraging the students day in, day out, so that when they come in and sit those exams, they are fully prepared. In terms of revision, I just wanted to share with you, before I pass over to our subject leads, a very, very basic revision structure. An hour and a half at night is ample. 45 minutes for each subject, so 2 subjects of an evening, and the first 5 minutes should be based on a recap of past learning. That is a very basic, simplified revision structure, a revision strategy that we know works, and it's something that can be easily adopted by all students at this time, and then we can look to progress and actually make them a little bit more specific as we move throughout the year. Now, our first subject is GCSE English. I will be presenting this on behalf of Mrs. Andrew. So first of all, in English literature, students study 4 set texts: Macbeth, A Christmas Carol, An Inspector Calls, and 16 poems in an anthology linked by the themes of power and conflict. There are 2 exams. Each is closed text, which means that students will not have access to the text they have studied. In the first exam, students will be required to write in detail about an extract from Macbeth and then to write about the play as a whole. In the second section, students will be required to write in detail about an extract from the novel and then to write about the novel as a whole. There are 3 sections to the second exam. There will be an essay question on Inspector Calls, another on a seen poem from an anthology, which then must be compared to another unseen poem from the anthology. The third section involves students answering 1 question on 1 unseen poem and 1 question comparing this poem with a second unseen poem. With the current situation, the department that regulates exams has recognised the significant demands on students to get to grips with complex literary texts remotely. The government has agreed students will be given a choice of topics on which they will be asked questions, so schools can focus on a smaller number of texts. AQA has proposed changes, but as of the 1st of September, AQA sent a notice to schools that they have not yet received the go-ahead from Ofqual. What is likely to happen is that students will not have to complete Section B of the conflict poetry. In English language, the aim of Paper 1 is to engage students in a creative text and inspire them to write creatively themselves. In Section A, students will analyse an unseen fiction extract in order to consider how established writers use narrative and descriptive techniques to capture the interest of readers. In Section B, students will write their own story. Paper 2 has again 2 sections. In Section A, students will analyse 2 extracts from different time periods and genres in order to consider how each presents a perspective or viewpoint to influence the reader. The second part of the exam is again a writing task, writing to argue, in which they give their own perspective on the theme that has been introduced to them in Section A. There are no changes to English language exams. There is a slight change to the third component of the qualification, which is the speaking and listening exam. There is now no requirement to film the exam to send to the exam board, but we will still be conducting the speaking and listening part of the paper. So the Holmesdale School is going to support your children to a successful English qualification by the following. Students have access to a wealth of revision material, including exam papers, revision booklets and knowledge organisers on the 365 area, which will also be uploaded to Show My Homework. Schemes of work have been written from Refresh to plug gaps from the lockdown. These have been endorsed by external experts. Lessons will teach students not only what to learn, but crucially, how to learn. Lessons have been created to teach students crucial exam skills and which develop their metacognitive skills, learning about learning. Exam practice tasks are set twice a week on Show My Homework. We would very much appreciate parents logging onto the site so that they can see tasks and set completion rates. Out of school lessons will model how to plan and craft exam answers in all aspects of each exam. That was a message on behalf of Mrs. Andrew based on English. I'd now like to pass over to Miss Cooper in regards to GCSE Maths.
Okay, hello, if you could pass on to the next slide, please. So GCSE Maths is 3 papers. The exam board that we use is OCR. However, revision materials can be Edexcel, AQA or OCR, because GCSE Maths is the same content whatever exam board you're using. There are 2 tiers. There is a higher tier and a foundation tier. Most pupils in Year 11 will be sitting the foundation tier. At the moment, only 11x1 will be completing the higher paper in the summer. There are 3 papers. There are 2 calculator papers and 1 non-calculator paper. We've been given provisional exam dates at the moment. which are all in May and early June, as on the slide. Revision material that we have, so we have the Maths Pixel app. All students in year 11 have been told by their maths teacher their Maths Pixel login. I also set a task via Show My Homework to let students know what their login was over the summer holidays. The school ID for everyone will be HT382, and their login will be their name. So it'll be their surname and first initial, and the password's the same until they go in and change it. Revision guides are available to buy from the school, which will be sorted out as a whole, so everyone's not buying different ones at different times. The best way to revise maths is to practice questions. So the revision guide will have questions in there for you to actually do. Corporate Maths is also a very good website which has exam questions and practice questions along with videos on how to do things. Students should be familiar with the Corporate Maths website because all of the work that we asked students to do during lockdown, we're using Corporate Maths. After school on a Thursday, we have OSL Maths revision till 4:15 every single week. And then also there will be intervention for students during their personal development time when they will be target students will come out of their lesson and come into maths intervention with myself or the second department, Mr. Morello. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cooper. Okay, the next subject is GCSE Science, so I'd like to pass over to Mrs. Harris.
Thank you. Good evening. Can you move to the next slide, please? Okay, so students in year 11 are sitting either triple science or combined science, which is also known as trilogy, following the AQA specification. If they're taking triple science, they will gain 3 GCSEs, 1 in biology, 1 in chemistry and 1 in physics. And if they're studying combined science, they will gain 2 science GCSEs. Now, all students will sit papers in either higher or foundation tier. 11x1 is the set that are doing the higher, the other sets are studying the foundation. Regardless of the tier that they're studying, all students will sit 6 papers in the summer, 2 in biology, 2 in chemistry and 2 in physics. And at the moment, there are no changes to any of the content of these exams due to COVID. Just like maths and all of the other subjects, the dates, although we have them, are provisional and subject to change. Thank you. Next slide, please. Okay, so we're doing lots with the students to help support their revision. The first thing we've been doing in class, our teachers are identifying any gaps that they have in their knowledge, and we're starting to work through closing those gaps. Our science OSL will run on a Wednesday, every Wednesday from 3:15 to 4:15. And we'll also have interventions during personal development time as well. We do suggest that students have a revision guide. It's a really good summary of all the core knowledge that they need to have. We also recommend that they use those core questions that they're given in class to create revision cards. And apps such as Seneca, Quizlet are really good for our core knowledge and remembering the content of the exams because it's quite extensive. And just like any other subject, practice exam papers are really good to build up their skills answering exam questions and their confidence doing that. Now, we do recommend the CPG revision guides. They are for combined sciences or the individual sciences, and we will be obtaining those through the school. You can also buy them on other sites such as Amazon. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Harris. Okay, so finally then, the last remark really from me is just about the importance of this year in terms of your child's progress and obviously towards their GCSE exams they're going to sit in the summer. One thing that I would like to share is that the start of the year has been exceptional in terms of their engagement in their learning, and what we really need to do now is continue that as the year progresses, and hopefully come the summer we'll be able to sit a nice normal exam series, and our students will be able to show you exactly their capabilities, and they will leave the school with some fantastic GCSE grades. If there are any questions or queries based on anything you've heard in this video, or if there are any queries that you have in general, please don't hesitate to contact me at the school and I'll be able to answer those for you. Thank you very much.